Hey guys, welcome back to Engineer Shop. Today in this video, you can learn to create login system using NodeJS. So this is our login system. In this login page, you can see the field for our email and password. And we can start with signing up. And for signing up, we will be requiring username, email and password. So email should be unique. So let me fill this field. I'm simply gonna give this email to jack@gmail.com. And now if I click on sign up, you can see we are also getting message that password should be at least 6 characters. So let's validate with it. And you can see the snack bar message here indicating that sign up is successful. Now you can proceed to login. So the sign up process is completed and the authentication for our user Jack is also successful. Now let's go to our login page. And if I try to log in using incorrect password, we get message of incorrect password. Similarly, for incorrect email, we will be getting no user found with this email. So we should use the correct credential for authorization. On correct email and password, we are redirected to our dashboard. You can see the welcome message for our user Jack. And on clicking logout, we are redirected to our login page. We can again try for the new user. Let me again go to sign up. Now I'm gonna create for Mike. And you can again see snack bar message indicating sign up is successful. We can also see our user in MongoDB Atlas. You can see we had recently authenticated these two users. Now let me go to login. So now you can see we have welcome message for Mike. This is the full flow of our login system. So do watch my full video to complete this login system. I had already made a video on JWT authentication for login and sign up. So you can follow that video to come to this part of code. I'm also going to provide the link of that video on my description below. You can see we had also included the validation message in our schema. In our auth controller for the create user part, we can handle Mongo's validation error here. For that, let's create an empty error object. And then allow it to iterate over the error keys. So for each field that failed validation, its corresponding error message is extracted and stored in error subject. Since we are now also gonna create client-side interactions via browsers, here we can set a cookie in the response. So this will be helpful for maintaining user sessions. By setting a JWT token as a cookie, we can ensure the token is automatically sent with each request, which is essential for authentication and authorization. Now let me copy this. I'm simply gonna paste this in login 2. Now let's create a new folder, middleware. And inside this, I'm gonna create file named auth_middleware.js. First, we will import JWT from JSON Web Token.
And we are also gonna import our schema. So here in the require auth, let's first extract the JWT token from the cookies. So if the token exists, we can verify using JWT verify and the secret key.
We had already configured secret key in our .env in last video.
If the token is valid, let's proceed to the next middleware. And if there is error during verification, we can redirect the user to our login page. We will also be creating our login page using EJS. And now in check user, we are gonna check for valid JWT token in cookies. So let's extract JWT token from the cookies and initialize rest.locals user to null. Here also we need to verify the token. For error in token verification, it will simply proceed to next middleware. And for valid token, it fetches the user from database and stores it in response of local. Finally, it will call next to proceed to the next middleware. And we can export these two. Now for the view part, we will be using EJS. Let me create a folder named views. Inside this, I am gonna create another folder named partials. Inside these partials, let me create header.ejs. So EJS is an embedded JavaScript that allows us to generate HTML markup with plain JavaScript. In NodeJS, we can use it to render dynamic content on web pages.
So first we can define our HTML template here.
So this is our EJS control flow statement that checks if the user object exists.
In case of existing user, this line will output the user's email into a list item. For logged user, we can create logout link. If the user object is null or undefined, we can create login link for them. And this would be sign up link to register.
Let's create signup.ejs inside views folder. Here I'm gonna include common header parts of our web page. This helps in reusing the same header across multiple pages. We will be defining the form structure here. Let's provide fields for username, email, and password. We are marking as required, which means the browser will ensure they are filled out before allowing form submission.
Let's also include div elements to display the errors
related to each field.
Let me also complete of email and password. And finally, this is our button for submitting the form.
So now let's create our JavaScript part here. We can use query selector here to select our form element. And also the div elements to display error messages. Now I'm gonna add an event listener for the form submission.
By using e.preventDefault, we can handle form submission with JavaScript and send or fetch data without refreshing the page.
And this line would clear any existing error messages. Here I will retrieve the values entered in username, email and password fields. Now we can proceed on sending data to server. So we will be using fetch to send the post request
To sign up endpoint, with the
username, email and password as JSON data. And in the header, we will be providing content type to application JSON. And we need to pass the JSON response from server. And we can display if there are any validation errors in the response.
for the successful sign up, we can give snackbar message indicating sign up is successful. So for that, I can give ID snackbar to this message, which I will also edit from CSS. So let me create public folder, and inside this I'm gonna create file named styles.css. And we also need to link this in our EJS file. We can include this in our header.ejs. Since we will be serving static file from public directory, we can link styles directly in this way. So in my styles.css, I will include the CSS for our snackbar. By default, I will give visibility to hidden. So I have given these properties to my snackbar. You can also create your own configuration. So in signup.ejs, let me complete my catch block. I can simply console error here. By default, we have snackbar hidden, so we can include show snackbar function here. I will create this function which will be designed to show our snack bar. This line sets class name of snack bar element to show, which we will be applying in CSS for making pop-up visible. And we can also set the timeout here for it to be closed. So I will include CSS for this. You can see we have added visibility and also the animations for fade in and fade out. You can simply copy it. Now let's create another file login.ejs inside our views folder. And here in our signup, we don't need this action since we have already performed Ajax from JS. I will copy all of this from signup and simply paste in our login.ejs. Here I will change the header to login. We should also remove username from here. And signup button should be changed to login. We can remove the snack bar part and also the username error. You should also remove this username. The endpoint should also be login and remove username from here also. Finally, for the successful login, we can redirect them to our dashboard. So let me create dashboard.ejs file inside views. I'll include the header and we can simply provide this text for the heading. And a logout button. Now I am gonna use this login and sign up page in my controller. I will create this return sign up page function. Inside this we will render our sign up page. and we can render our login inside this. For logout, I will create logout user function, which will be designed to log out a user by clearing their JWT cookie and then redirecting them to the home page. So this is for clearing JWT cookie. Now finally we can export these three functionality. And inside my routes in auth.js, I will import all these functionality. We need to provide get request here to render the sign up and login page. And finally we can perform get request for our logout user. Now let me go back to index.js. And below here I'm gonna define route for our root URL, which will be our login page. Now let's add all the middleware. First let's set up the middleware to serve static file from public directory. We should also parse cookies attached to the client request object. So let me import cookie parser. It will simply make the cookies available in request.cookies. We will also need to import middleware in our index.js. Let's also include check user, which we had implemented in auth middleware. Now we can use the require auth, which is for the token validation for the dashboard. It will ensure that only authenticated users can access the dashboard. Let me start my project using NodeMon. You can see this error because we haven't installed cookie parser. So let's npm install it. Now let me again run it. You can see we are successfully connected on server side. Now let's go to browser and run localhost 3000, and you can see we are getting error that no default engine was specified. We forgot to set up our express to use EJS as template engine. So let's go back to our code, and first let's npm install EJS. And finally, let's set EJS as a template engine, which will allow us to render .ejs file as HTML and uses dynamic data in our templates. So let's again run our project. And now on the browser, you can see our login system with email and password field. We can also go to our sign up. Let's complete our CSS part and we will be checking its functionality. Here in CSS, let's include style for our body. So here I have given margin, font size, background color. You can also customize it on your way. And if I go to my browser, you can see currently we have made up to these changes. So we'll be returning here after completing all the CSS. This will be the CSS for our HTML tag and element. Similarly, these are for the list. So I will just provide for all tags and classes. You can just copy. You can see we have also included for our form and input. Now we are almost at the end of our styling. Finally, we will include style for the errors. And now if I rerun this, you can see we have a login page with a decent styling. In order to improve the text and font, we can import Google font from this URL. You can also simply copy this URL. Now you can see this interface, and we can still make a slight change. We can move this form slightly down. For that, inside my form, I can change margin value to 90. And inside btn class, I will add cursor to pointer. Now you can see our form is in perfect position. We are also able to get pointer while hovering on login as well as in sign up. So now let's proceed on our system functionality. For signing up, let me provide username to John and also the email and password. And you can see we are unable to perform sign up. There might be some issue. Let me inspect it. You can see it's showing issue in our server side. Let me go to my sign up page. So here I will console my data for more detail. Now let me reload this and I will fill it again. You can see the message of sign up failed. So the error is from this part. We had given server side error inside this validation error. So I will simply change this to 400 and will mention errors here for the actual error. And now if I sign up, you can see path username is required. So the problem is on our username field. In our schema, we had made our username required, so nothing's wrong here. So yeah, here is our issue. We had mistyped username here. Here n should be small. So let's correct inside the body also. And finally, let's change for this error. Now let's try again. Finally, you can see the message sign up successful, and I want this success message for more time. For that, I can increase the timeout to 8000. You can also see validation error message for already existing email. I will give different email and username here. And now you can see our snack bar message for success is up to 8 seconds. Now in our MongoDB Atlas, we can go to collection and you can also see the signed up users here. That is of zone and zone 1. And you can keep this fade property. I am removing this since I just want the snack bar for 8 seconds without any effect. So I'll remove all of its animations. And you can also see we get validation error message for password less than 6. So now you can see we are getting snack bar message for 8 seconds without any fade property. So that was all for sign up. Now let's proceed to login part. We can also show the validation error for login like that of sign up. So for that, in our auth controller, inside the login user part, we can mention errors here. And also the field that is here, it should be password. For incorrect password, we will simply get this message. And for email, we should mention errors and email field. We'll get this email not existing message. And in our dashboard.ejs, we don't need this logout button because we have already configured in our error.ejs that if it returns some user, we are gonna give this logout button in our dashboard. We can also mention the username. For that, we need to fetch the signed in username. In our auth middleware inside check user, we had attached user data to response.locals, which is fetched from the database. So we can make it available to our EJS template. Here we have made a slight issue. Actually, it should be ID instead of user because in login controller we have returned user's ID as ID. So now everything's fine. Now back in our index.js, we can provide our users data, that is response.locals.user. From our header.ejs, we can remove this email list part since we only want their username. So user.username will fetch our username of the logged in user. Now let's proceed to login. First, let me try with wrong password. You can see for incorrect password, we get message of incorrect password and user is not logged in this case. And for incorrect email, we get this. And for the correct credential, the user is redirected to their dashboard. We had logged in for user test, so we are able to get this username. Let me log out, and if we will log in as Zone, so you can see we have the message, hello Zone, welcome to dashboard. And now we will style to improve this font and center this welcome message. We will also be working on our logout button. So in our header.ejs, let's add class for logout. And here we can wrap this inside div with class name container. And for this text also, I'm gonna give new class. And finally for the welcome part, we can include it inside p tag. Now we can perform styling for this. So for logout, I have included background color to reddish and its text color to white. Similarly for the dashboard classes, this would be for the container. Here I have made alignment to center. This would be style for our first heading. Finally for subheading, we can include these styles. You can copy these styles. Now let's reload this again. So now let's check the full flow of our login system from the beginning. But we can see the logout button here. So it's because our check user middleware is executed when we perform sign up and the user's data is fetched. Due to this, it matches with our if case in header.ejs. In order to fix this, we need to ensure that only the users who will be logging into their dashboard should have the logout button. So we can add is dashboard condition here. In our dashboard.ejs, we can provide the flag indicating is dashboard to true. And for login, it would be false. The same would be applied to sign up. So we can copy this and paste this for the signup.ejs also. Now if I reload this, you can see there is no logout button. Now let me log in at Zack. We have this message in the center and also the red border for our logout button. So let's log out and test for the final time. I will again sign up for the new user. And now let me go to login. We can see there is no any logout button. And if I log in, we are redirected to the Mike's dashboard. And we are also able to get the desired CSS. We have finished the complete flow of our login system. So that was all for our login system in
Node.js.
In this video, we have successfully built NodeJS login system with JWT authentication, EJS and MongoDB. Thank you guys for watching this video.